Welcome to Screw the Commute, the entrepreneurial podcast dedicated to getting you out of the car and into the money. With your host, lifelong entrepreneur and multimillionaire, Tom Antion.
Hey everybody, it's Tom here with episode 305 of Screw the Commute podcast. I'm here with Dr. Winifred Bragg of the Bragg Factor, and she is a doer. I'll tell you, not only does she keep people healthy with their back pain and holistic methods to keep them off of pain meds, she is a very inspiring lady on how she came up to build up a big medical practice, and then she helps many people learn the Bragg Factor, how to network and how to do all kinds of stuff to help their career. So we'll bring her on in a minute. Hope you didn't miss episode 304. That's how to create great audio products. So I told you how to set up your room, how to keep, lousy echoes down, what to do if there's trains, planes, and automobiles making noise around your house, and all this stuff to make great audio products, because audio is the only thing that you can learn from or be entertained from while you're doing something else. So it's important, and it still sells like crazy. All right. If you haven't got a copy of my automation ebook, what are you waiting for? This book has saved me 7.5 million keystrokes. I mean, not the whole book. One tip in the book saved me 7.5 million keystrokes. We actually figured it out a couple years ago, and it helps me steal business from other companies that are too slow to get back to people, because I've got all these inexpensive and powerful systems working so that I can do things with lightning speed and automate a lot of it. So grab it at screwthecommute.com/automate free. Screwthecommute.com/automate free. We charge $27 for this book, but you get it free for listening to Screw the Commute. And while you're at it, pick up a copy of our podcast app. That's screwthecommute.com/app. That's APP, where you can put it on your cell phone and tablet and take us with you on the road. It has all kinds of fancy features, and we have instructions on how to use them. So there you go. All right, now we're still in this pandemic thing, and people are trying to put a second wave in on it. So you got to get skills to work from home and not be under the thumb of things that happen bad in the world. I've been preaching this for 26 years, living this beautiful lifestyle. People call me up, say, "You okay, Tom?" Well, what's the difference? I've been sitting here the whole time, So yeah, I'm fine. And you could be too if you had these skills, and you also got these skills for the young people in your life, your kids, your grandchildren, your nephews and nieces. It would be the best legacy skill you could ever give them, instead of them being full of debt, learning how to protest and work and compete for jobs at Starbucks. They can have a marketable skill that every business on earth needs in a matter of months. So check it out. It's my school, imtcva.org. Call me up. I'll discuss it with you. We have no machine gun nests, no high pressure trying to force you into anything. But really, I want to open your eyes into what you could do for yourself and for the young people in your life. All right, let's get to the main event. Dr. Bragg is the CEO of the Spine and Orthopedic Pain Center. She's treated thousands with non-surgical treatments for back pain and other musculoskeletal problems. I never said that once in my whole life until today. Musculoskeletal. I couldn't even say it twice in a row. She's a board certified in both physical medicine and rehabilitation and pain medicine. She's the author of the bestseller, Knockout Pain: Secrets to Maintain a Healthy Back. Dr. Bragg is also the creator of the Bragg Factor, and we're going to talk a lot about that today, a system to teach professionals how to own and communicate their value. And this is really important in a competitive job market. And she's presented programs and workshops, all kinds of universities and Fortune 500 companies. Dr. Bragg, are you ready to screw the commute?
I'm ready, Tom.
All right. So how you doing?
Oh, Tom, I'm doing fine, and I hear that you are doing well also.
That's right. We're sitting here in this lifestyle business. Now, you're doing some online now too, right?
I am. After COVID-19, I had to have a way to be able to treat my patients And so I created a telemedicine aspect of my practice. And I already envisioned having that because a few years ago, my mother was seriously injured and I became her caregiver. And I realized how hard it was to go back and forth to the doctor all these number of times, taking someone with chronic musculoskeletal pain, which means your muscles, your ligaments, your bones, and all of those things are hurting. She had chronic back pain. I had to take in her wheelchair back and forth and waiting in those doctor's appointments just added to her pain.
Right.
So I already had that in my head. So when COVID-19 came, I did that aspect to my practice so that my patients could be seen at home and I was able to see them via video from the comfort of their home or offices.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I think there's going to be lots more of that in the future. That's for sure, because it is so much more convenient for everybody. And like I said, it's in many cases, it puts them at bigger risk for they come for back pain and all of a sudden they're on a respirator somewhere or ventilator.
Right. Yes. I treat a lot of, people who are vulnerable, elderly people and people who have comorbidities, who have respiratory problems and diabetes as well. So it's risky for them to come to the office. So I was able to see them from the comfort of their home and they like that. But guess what, Tom?
What?
I have never really had back pain. But during COVID-19, the one who treats back pain got a little back pain.
Probably from sitting around.
From sitting around. You got it. In my book, I tell you the first chapter, one of the things, easiest way to get back pain, prolonged sitting. Don't sit for over an hour or an hour and a half. And what did I do? Doing all those telemedicine conferences with patients, I just sat for 8 hours, developed back pain because I didn't do what I told people to do for years. So I had to treat myself, and I give them a little free tip if you don't mind.
Oh, please.
One of the things I told people I did is what I tell people, they don't like it. I had a gel ice pack. Mm-hmm. I applied it to my back at 15-minute intervals, 3 or 4 times a day. And then I bought a massage ball, or you could take a tennis ball and put it on the tender points and put pressure with that to relieve those tender points. And this is what I had to do. But I tell people that all the time, Tom, and guess what they want to use? A heat pack. I tell them, look on television, those $1 million men, those $1 million women in sports, they're using ice.
Right.
But the too many people want to use heat. But if you use the ice, I was able to get rid of the pain by doing stretches and using the ice pack and the massage ball. Oh. But remember, don't do what I did. Don't do prolonged sitting. After an hour, get up, walk around, stretch. Otherwise, you will be seeing me.
Well, what about those stand-up desks?
Stand-up desks would be a wonderful thing to have. I was just telling you, if you couldn't afford one right now because of what's going on if you're not working, but a stand-up desk would be a wonderful tool to have.
Well, I'll tell you what, you don't have to spend a fortune on those because I have an old treadmill, which people pretty much give away because all they do is hang their clothes on them. And then I put a board across the handles and made a desk out of it. And so I can walk even at 1 mile an hour. It's better than sitting.
Wow. Well, you've always been innovative and been an entrepreneur, even when you were about 12, 15 years old, your dad taught you all those things.
Yeah.
I didn't learn those handy dandy skills. So that's called a Tom Antion stand-up desk.
Okay, so let's talk about the Bragg Factor, because that's very few people on here are doctors, so they're not going to have the problems you had treating patients. But the Bragg Factor is kind of how you got to be a top doctor, right?
Yes.
Tell them your story. Tell them how you came up through the ranks and being a female in a male-dominated business.
Yes, I was in a group where I was the only female, and all the other people in the group were surgeons, and I was pushing non-surgical treatment. So it was kind of different from what they were doing. And so when patients would come and I would tell them I was an interventional pain specialist, meaning that I tried to intervene and do things for your pain without surgery, people hadn't heard of it when I first came around here. And so I said, oh my God, I have to eat. I have to pay my mortgage. How am I going to do this? Well, medical school didn't really teach me anything about marketing, none whatsoever. And I had decided I would go to networking events, Tom, and I would
Hmm.
say, "Hi, I'm Dr. Bragg. Nice to meet you." And the people would look at me like, "Okay, so what?" And that was it.
Uh-huh.
Because I didn't really know how to work a room. But I realized that I had to work a room to be able to say something that was memorable so people would understand what I did, remember me, and want to come to me and learn how to break the circles where people were congregated in a networking event and be able to break it, the ice, and make them want to talk with me.
Right.
And so I use what I call the Bragg Factor because patients would say they would get my name mixed up. Now, what's your name, Dr. Greg, Dr. Drag, or what? So one day, an elderly patient said to me, "You mean brag like the army base?" I'm like, "Brag like the army base." So I realized, hey, that's what I need to call myself, the Bragg Factor, then, because everyone here, military town, knew Bragg. And so I would say, "Dr. Bragg like the army base."
Well,
And
hopefully that
so
lasts for a while because they're trying to change the name.
I know they tried to change the name, but now Bragg just gonna have to stay on around here now because that's what it is, the Bragg Factor.
You have to
And so
tell them that they can't change it now. It'll ruin your business.
it'll ruin my business. It'll ruin my business now that's what I have been doing, and they want to change the name. Things always change. So what I learned that if you're kind of like me, I'm a talkative person, but I really didn't know how to just chit chat in this networking thing. And so I kind of created what I call the Factor Power Square, where I thought about 4 P's, Tom. It's real simple. When I meet people, what can you say to them? You want to first get them to talk about people. Don't kind of talk about yourself. Get them to talk about your people. Say, "Oh, how? How long have you lived here?" And they get to telling, oh, and they'll tell about their husband, they'll tell about their children, and you get them to talk about the people. People love to talk about their kids, their husbands, and whatever things they're in. So I created the Bragg Factor Power Square. It really lists 4 P's: people, passion, purpose, and pain. So they talk about the people that was important to them. And then if we were eating shrimp at this networking thing, I would just look at whatever they were holding in their hand and say, "Hey, is the shrimp really good?" And then sometimes it didn't go along with my formula. Some people said, "No, I'm not enjoying it at all." I'm like, "Okay, that's not working." And then you had to get them to talk about what were their passions. Do they enjoy tennis? Are they into dogs like you, Tom? Because what I was basically doing was trying to get information about the people so that I would be able to interact with them on their level.
Right.
Then people talk about their purposes. And at the end, when you really get to know them, they'll talk about their pain, not their physical pain. But say, for instance, if someone was new to town and they said, "I have a dog, but I can't go anywhere because I don't have anyone to dog sit." But if you can get rid of someone's pain and tell them, "Hey, I know 2 or 3 people that can sit for your dog," they will remember you because you did something for them. So the main thing that the Bragg Factor does with networking is you want to focus on the people, not so much on yourself, but focus on the people. And those 4 things help me to be able to network and to build a big practice. And since being in Tidewater now, I've treated over 20,000 patients.
Wow.
And I came here without a spouse, without children, without the other support system that most people have to help them build a practice. I hadn't been here before. And so using this, I could use it at church, at networking events, at civic events. And I know that it worked because it worked for me. And this is how I built a big practice. And now I teach this to people at Fortune 500 companies. I teach it to young people who are graduating, looking for a job. When you're there, focus on these 4 P's, learn this, and do your social intelligence homework. Then, when you see the people, you got to kind of keep this on a spreadsheet or in your phone. So the next time I see Tom, I know he's in the dogs because I know that's his passion. When I would see him the next time, I say, "Oh, Tom, how the dogs doing?" And people's eyes would brighten up because they could tell then that I had paid attention to them. And you will build this. And then later on, rather than sending Tom a coffee cup and you don't know if he drinks coffee, you know he's in the dogs. You want to send him a little something. Maybe you send him some notepads with a dog on it, but it helps your gifts more meaningful. If you ever have the opportunity give a client a thank you gift. This is going to help you be able to tune in to what they really want. People give me coffee mugs all the time, Tom, and guess what?
You don't drink coffee.
I don't drink coffee. And they are just so delighted. It's a beautiful cup. It's a beautiful cup. Of course, I could put water in it, but for the same $5, they could realize that I'm into Alabama football and get me an Alabama sticker.
Yeah.
Because you take the time with these 4Ps, you learn your clients. And people think, oh my God, I have a good memory, but I use these 4Ps and it helps support that good memory. So when I've treated people and had clients for 20 years now, that I can tell them, hey, I bet your son now has finished college. Because I remember when I wrote that down in 2005 or 10, that they had a child that was 10 years old. And so they like, oh, Dr. Bragg, you remember, yes, he just got married. So these are the kind of things that can separate you from your other clients.
Now, you said you came here with no husband and no kids, but since when are kids a support system?
Well, they're support. Well, because if they're in school, that means you're going to meet the parents of those people.
Oh.
So that automatically gives you some other people that if you have a business, you at the PTA meetings, you're meeting teachers. And so that was giving you another support system. Is what I was saying.
they're little marketing slaves for you.
Little marketing thing. That's what I'm saying. That gives you a little marketing thing, right?
Okay. You did it without any of that. So that's really
I did
powerful.
it without any of that. When I came here, I brought a burgundy suitcase filled with coupons from my student loans. And I remember going to a financial planner. He said, oh my God, with these loans, you may be able to retire about age 70. And I'm like, wow, is this what medicine has in store? And I can tell you, I'm not 70 years old. I can retire now. And I've created a couple of businesses. I have the Spine Center. I have a speaking business, and I have a soon-to-be launched, Tom, a designated telemedicine practice where I'll be able to see patients not only in the Tidewater area, but in this whole state of Virginia and North Carolina, because there are a lot of areas that don't have specialists like myself. And I've learned this from COVID. While I was sitting, I was studying, and then I'm going to launch a new business by the end of the month that's going to be able to help other people who don't have access to good musculoskeletal care. And that means I'll be able to treat their knees, their shoulders, their back, and other areas like that, non-surgical. So I was excited. I tried to use my time at home with COVID very strategically so that I could work on things that I hadn't had a chance to do when I was in the office. I was able to do it at home.
Well, what is a doctor license state by state?
They're state by state, and I have license in 3 states. So I'm going to start off doing this in Virginia and in North Carolina. But I have license also in Kentucky, but I won't be doing it there. I'm going to be doing it in Virginia and Kentucky. And so you should be able to check a website soon called Home Pro Therapy. Home Pro Therapy. And that would be a strict telemedicine practice. And it won't be for the patients that I have at the Spine Center. This will be for people who I don't know who need my expertise anywhere in Virginia or North Carolina.
North Carolina, but Kentucky's
Right.
on hold. But what's stopping
Right.
you from just getting licensed? Is it a hassle to get licensed in a state?
Well, yeah, you just have to, like everything requires money. So I could get licensed in a lot of states. You just have to go to paperwork and apply for them and then just pay fees. And so I'm going to see how it goes with traction in these first 2 states. And then I'll decide if I have the woman power to take on other states.
Well, there's probably plenty of business in those states as it is. So 3 businesses you got. And,
right.
And starting with, now did you work for anybody else when you graduated med school, or did you just go right into your own practice?
No, I worked for a group for about 3 years, and then I joined a big group where I was the only female, where there were about 7 or 8 other male surgeons, and I worked with them for several years. And so the title of the name of my company, Spine and Orthopedic Pain Center, reflects what I learned from my 2 previous jobs. One was a spine center where I worked, and I learned a lot with a spine surgeon. The other was a general orthopedic practice So when I opened my practice, I named it after what I had expertise in, both spine and orthopedic things. That's the musculoskeletal, meaning neck, shoulders, backs, and knees, because I worked with a multi-specialty orthopedic group.
Now, how does somebody know when they, because there's a lot of money involved here. I know you're a very conscientious, ethical doctor, but there's a lot of money involved in the medical field. How does one know if they really need back surgery as opposed to other methods?
That's a very good question. Unfortunately, in the United States, back surgery is done twice the rate as in other countries. About 600,000 back surgeries have done a year. And what the truth of the matter is, if you have 100 people, only about 5 people out of that 100 really need back surgery, only about 5%. So what I tell people, if you give a person a hammer, what do they see? A nail.
Right.
So whereas people say, I don't want to go to a pain management doctor, what you want to go to a pain management doctor who not only does injections, but also does medication and does physical therapy and does the whole comprehensive care. Because if you go to a pain doctor that only does injections, and I do injections, they may just only give injections. And if you go to a surgeon, they're supposed to do the same thing that I do, non-surgical care first, and you should fail that first before you have surgery. So, but if you go to a pain doctor or someone who doesn't do surgery, then you are at least assured that other methods were tried before
Right.
you have surgery.
Yeah, because a surgeon will, I don't want to say cut to the chase, but they will, that's what they're going to do. That's the hammer that they have.
That's the hammer they have. But we hope that there are some ethical ones. But you just want to tell them if you go that I'd like to pursue a non-surgical procedure first, and then you can always have a second opinion. I tell people before you have any surgery, have a second opinion. When you buy a house, most of us don't look at one house. We look at several houses so that we get an idea of the market, so that we make an offer. We have an understanding of what kind of living room you get, what kind of family room you get for this price. And so it is. If you're going to be a good advocate for your own health, and that's what you have to do, before you have surgery, you want to get a second opinion. And you want to hear the same thing twice. But before having it, you want to have tried conservative means. Now, there are some times when you can't have conservative things. For instance, if you have total loss of your bowel or bladder, you can't hold your urine, you can't hold your bowels, that's a surgical emergency.
Right.
If you have weakness, you can't pick your legs up, then that's a surgical emergency. And perhaps if an 18-wheeler hits you and you have major trauma, then you have to have surgery. But all the other things where people go pulling the weeds in their garden, lifting and getting a ruptured disc that you call ruptured disc, about 90% of those resolve without having surgery. And so having a ruptured disc that pinches your nerve, that causes numbness and tingling down your leg, does not equal surgery. And what I want people to understand, Tom, is pain does not mean surgery. Because you can have surgery and they put rods and screws in your back, and guess what, Tom?
You still have pain.
More pain.
Yeah.
So don't just do it just for the pain. You want to try the other things, because after you have surgery, you're still going to need to go to that physical therapy that you should have gone to before you had surgery. So that's the lesson I want people to understand, that you have to be an advocate. And that's why I invite people for free to go to my YouTube channel. I have one called Dr. Winifred Bragg, and it's going to give videos and instructions and great information about ways you can treat things non-surgically, and it's free. You can go to my website, knockoutpain.com, and get free tips and read those things. My Facebook page, the Spine and Orthopedic Pain Center. I spend a lot of time doing that because I want to educate people, because I don't want people to end up with a surgery that they don't need. I don't want you to end up having to pay all that money when you didn't need to. And to understand, the smarter you are about anything, the better result you get. And that's why I wrote my book. My mother was actually injured by her doctor, and this is how she ended up unable to walk. And so I know that things don't always come out the way that they should. And she was injured by the doctor, And that's when I became her caregiver. And sadly, that taught me a whole lot about parts of medicine that I had not been exposed to before being the caregiver. And it just changed my whole life perspective in how you need to treat, what you need to do, and what the burdens are to the caregivers and to a patient that has to live with chronic pain.
I wish all doctors had to do that as part of their training. They'd be
Right, that would be,
more empathetic.
yes, yes, because you even learn difference on how you prescribe medicine. When you're telling someone to take a pill every 4 to 6 hours, that means some caregiver or you got to disrupt that person through the night taking medication. And if you could give them something that lasts all day, it's much easier on a caregiver. You learn about costs and a lot of things, Tom, that I thought Medicare paid for. My mother could not go up and down steps as a result of this now. And so I had to renovate my home with a ramp. And I just said, okay, she has 2 insurances, get the ramp. And the ramp guy said to me, oh, ma'am, no, this is cash, check, credit card.
Huh.
I wanted her to have a stair lift so she could go up the stairs to her bedroom. The guy said, I said, she has Medicare, she has another supplement, excellent insurance. He said, put that away. I said, no, we need it. I want her to have a chair. He says, that same check, credit card you paid for with that ramp, this is what you're going to need for this stair lift.
Oh, man.
And that's sad that you would think that Medicare or your insurance would be paying for these items, but they don't.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. So it was an eye-opening experience for things that I had not really learned. Medical school had not taught me. I just assumed that Medicare and your insurance would take care of these things, but they did not. So, medicine can be pricey. And this is why I'm launching that new business, Home Pro Therapy, because it's based on what I learned myself as a caregiver. And I want to be able to help people that are living with these kind of burdens and people that need to work, because there are financial consequences when you're missing work a lot and you're sick and having to go back and forth to the doctor. So being able to do it with audiovisual aids saves a person that they don't have to miss work. And so that helps them as well.
All right, from the entrepreneurial standpoint, is this going to be a totally separate business or just
totally separate business? That's going to be a totally separate business.
Okay. And are you doing an LLC or a corporation or what?
That's going to be an LLC. And the goal is that I would be able to recruit other providers. So other providers could join it. And I won't be directing their care, but they would be able to use the platform that I've created. Because what the Home Pro Therapy is a digital platform. So I'm putting the mechanism in place that a doctor would be able to use to manage his practice, so that he too could be able to give good directed care to people with musculoskeletal problems, both acute and chronic. And what I find, Tom, is when people have pain, they tend to wait a little long before they go. Or they think if they go to a pain doctor, that it means that they are getting narcotics. And one thing I want people to understand, that pain medicine is not synonymous with narcotics. People get mad with me all the time when they said, well, my doctor told me to come to you so I could get my narcotics. All pain does not need narcotics. Now, there's some pain you do need narcotics for. But I say that treating pain is like making a pie. Did your grandmother make a special pie that you enjoyed, Tom, when you were growing up? What kind of pie was that?
Cherry.
Cherry. And your grandmother knew that it had to have cherries in it, probably had to have sugar. She put some other things in it to make that cherry pie, didn't she?
Right.
And so I say, when you go to a pain,
it had OxyContin in it too, I think.
Had OxyContin in it. Okay, a little OxyContin. Well, with my grandmother, she made a sweet potato pie. And she understood that a sweet potato pie just didn't need sugar. It needed nutmeg, it needed cinnamon, it needed eggs, it needed other ingredients. What has us here in this opioid epidemic is because we as doctors were just giving people only pain medicine. So that's like putting only sugar in that cherry pie, and then it just comes out too sweet. And so you want to be able to be treated with all the different things that make comprehensive pain management.
Well, that's the same with business. You can't just do one part of your business. It's a lot of different parts make it up. So,
and this is correct. And this is what I've learned too, and what's been so wonderful for me because during COVID, people would never imagine in medical school that the doctor's offices would be closed and you wouldn't be able to take patients. But fortunately, with the Bragg Factor, it has given me an opportunity to have other streams of income. And so it teaches people how to pivot. Being a speaker, I have a stream of income where I speak to corporations and universities. I write books and workbooks. I have a new workbook that'll be coming out of how to create a brag book for a competitive job market. And in that, I'm going to help people learn how to find what is your brag factor. What are those unique skills that you have? But then how are you articulating it? Tom mentioned to you that the brag factor speaks to how to own and communicate your value. When he says, I am Tom Antion, the multimillionaire entrepreneur who has done this, that, and the other. What follows Tom's I am is what's important. What follows his I am is important. When I teach people how to create what I call that 30-second brag, when they use those 4 P's as they are learning about other people, how you're introducing yourself, you need to have a powerful 30-second brag. I am Dr. Winifred Bragg, a physician, best-selling author, and creator of the Bragg Factor, so that people remember what's unique about you. So I say to anyone listening to this call, what is your 30-second brag? And how are you introducing yourself to the world? And fortunately, because I had created other streams of income, COVID just was devastating from one aspect with the business, but not with the other businesses. And what you're going to learn in my workbook is how you take your skills and see how you can transfer them to other areas. Sometimes I have one young lady who came to a workshop and her hobby was graphic arts. She was majoring in another field, but that field wasn't making money. She now owns her own business where she's working as a graphic artist. So sometimes you can take skills that you've learned as your hobby and make it as the foundation for a business. So what follows your I am? I want you as you leave this call and write down what are your skills that you have, how you're introducing yourself in 30 seconds, and are people calling you back if you're a business person, if you're a salesperson, a financial planner, insurance agent, are people calling you back? What is your 30-second brag when you say I am? What follows it?
Well, I'm thinking of Popeye. I am what I am, and that's what I
That's what I am.
Yeah.
But see, it's really important because guess what? 30 years later, Popeye is gone and you still remember I am.
Right.
That's right.
I remember Wimpy too. I'd gladly pay you Tuesday
Wimpy,
for a
I
hamburger today.
am. And Wimpy, that's right.
And olive oil and all of them. So we got to take a brief sponsor break. When we come back, we're going to ask Dr. Bragg, what's a typical day look like for her and how she stays motivated and helping all these people. So folks, about 20 years ago, I kind of turned the internet marketing guru world on its head, that people were charging $100,000 to teach the stuff that I've been doing and teaching to others. And I thought, you know what? I know a lot of these people. If you gave them $50,000, they'd be running off to Mexico to the casino. You'd never hear from them again. So I said, that's not fair, and it's too much risk for the business owner because I'm a small business advocate. So I came up with a different system where people pay a relatively small entry fee, and then they pay a commission on whatever I've helped them with develop that's capped. So for me to get my $50,000, you have to make $200,000. So people really love this, and 1,700 students later, it's still going strong after 20 years. So that's the nature of my program, and it's the longest running ever, most successful internet marketing mentor program, and very unique in that we have a retreat center here. Dr. Bragg's been over here, and you stay here for an immersion weekend, actually live in the house and watch the orders come in and get trained. We have a TV studio here. We train you on all kinds of stuff, and it's one-on-one, the training, because I don't like group training, because if I'm talking to the advanced people, the beginners are bored or lost. And if I'm talking to the beginners, the advanced people are bored. So So no, it's one-on-one with me and all the people that work here. And some of them been here 18 years and have trained by me. So you get access to all of that. So it's by far the most unique, most successful ever in this field of internet marketing. Plus, you get a scholarship to the school that I was telling you about earlier. Some people gift that to their kids or to nephews or nieces or grandchildren, and just extremely powerful. And those kids now have a skill instead of massive debt that and then competing for jobs at Starbucks. So check it out. Very accessible. Give me a call at check out greatinternetmarketingtraining.com. I'm easy to get to. Dr. Bragg will attest to that. People think I'm BSing when I'm evenings, weekends, holidays. I'm a fanatic. So I'm a real believer in this business. I live it and breathe it, and I can't wait to see your success. All right, let's get back to the main event. Dr. Winifred Bragg is here. She's a pain expert, and also I would say is as big an expert in helping people put their Bragg Factor out there to beat the competitors in the job market and to really make their businesses flourish. So, Dr. Bragg, what's a typical day look like for you? What time do you get up? Do you eat breakfast? Do you exercise? How's it run for you?
Well, my typical day is I get up. I'm a gardener. I have a small garden. I get up and go out there and talk to my plants because they don't talk back, and that gets me a little. That gets me in a good frame of mind. So I, weed my garden, water the garden, and I like that because I like to see things improve, and that may be one reason that I'm a doctor. I like to be able to put things into people and see them improve. This is why I like the Bragg Factor and to help people, because I like to be able to fertilize and water people's skills and watch them grow and promote their growth. So that's how I get up in the morning. I go to my garden, walk around and weed and do that. And then I'm in the office in the morning. I start patients 9 o'clock some mornings, and then I see patients. And then now with Zoom, you have some Zoom conferences. You're going to have somebody Zooming you over the lunchtime, and I'm using the office to about 9 to 5 every day. And then when I come home, I'm usually doing some videos or doing some other things, or working on a book or doing those kind of things is what I'm doing to promote the Bragg Factor. And the last 2 months, I've been spending a lot of time on finishing up a book and getting my new business worked out. But those are the things that I work on. And since I developed this back pain now, I've been doing what I should have been doing my back exercises every other day at least. I do my back exercises for about 30 minutes every other day to make sure I'm keeping my muscles and everything flexible and working on my core. So those are the things. Before the COVID, I enjoyed going to Zumba a couple or 3 times a week. But with the gyms being closed, I really don't feel so safe about going back to the gym now.
Right.
And so I had to eliminate that. And so I I missed that, and I need to get back because I think that that's one of the ways that we can relax and get rid of stress I encourage people to get up in the morning if they have a musculoskeletal problem and do their stretches, maybe ice if they need to. But also before you go to bed at night, do something that you enjoy to wind down. And I enjoy writing and that kind of thing. And so I do some of that before I wind down. And if I have a big event coming up, a speech or webinar, I want to touch base with Tom, and I know that he's accessible any time of night. So I may have a conference with him and said, Tom, I'm finished with my work now. What about getting on the phone or doing a Zoom with me tomorrow at night about 9 o'clock? And he's always available. So that works out well for me because he has helped me to learn more about the business of speaking. It's one thing to be a speaker, but anything you do, you want to know the business of it. And so that's what has been important, and learning how to do, I was doing YouTubes, but how to do a YouTube and do descriptions with the YouTubes. So to make people want to watch your YouTubes, because you can do a YouTube video and then not have tag words in there or keywords and no one finds you. So what I found, just like going to medical school, there's more than just delivering the baby. You got to do other things to help the baby to develop. When a baby is born, and then the baby has to learn how to breastfeed. Then the baby's got to switch from breastfeeding to the bottle. then to the cup and all of this. Everything has developmental stages. And so does it also have as a speaker. There are developmental stages and more to it than people think in order to run a successful business of speaking. You need to do these things to make sure that you're just not doing things and it's exercise in futility.
Yeah, and it's good to remember your past too, because I still kind of enjoy the breastfeeding. I don't know where that came from, and I think you answered the question on how you stay motivated. You said you love to see the fruits of your help improve people.
That's what I love to do. I love to see that when people write me back and say, Dr. Bragg, I had the young woman that I want to tell you about was in a workshop, and she would say in the workshop, I noticed every time I asked her something, well, I've only done this. I just did this. That's all I've done. Only this, only that. And so in that workshop, I told her, I said, listen, for your age, you have done a lot. Those are very good skills you have. You have great accomplishments. What I want you to do is concentrate on saying things and stop demeaning your own self. Stop diminishing what you've done. I don't want you to use the word just or only anymore.
Right.
I saw her in a second workshop. We went over and she says, I've improved. I'm doing better. And she told me that was one of the major things that she learned. When she learned to stop diminishing herself and stop using the word only, she now has her own business. But you have to take that word out of your vocabulary. Unless you say, I'm the only one who can do the best job for you. But to say it in a way that demeans yourself, you need to get out of it. And so when I hear people write me back or call me, or I'm working with someone coaching and they accomplish their goals, that motivates me, because it's like fertilizing or watering a plant and I see it bearing fruit. And that's what I like to see happen.
That's really beautiful, Doctor. So thanks so much for taking time to come on and tell everybody how to reach you and all your stuff again. And we'll have it in the show notes too.
Okay. You can reach me at Dr. Bragg at thebraggfactor.com.
That's 2 G's, by the way.
2 G's. That's right. Because the last G in Bragg stands for gratitude. That's why Bragg is a 5-letter word and not a 4-letter word. Because I think if you do everything from a standpoint of gratitude, you can say good things about yourself. A lot of people have a problem doing what they call quote unquote bragging. But if you're saying something that's factual, you aren't bragging. You're just telling people what are the good things that you can do and how you bring value to them. So you want to say, I do this, and as a result of this, this is what you can achieve. And so you do it from a standpoint of gratitude. So again, that's Dr. Bragg at thebraggfactor.com. And my website is thebraggfactor.com. You can also call 961-7498, 961-7498, area code 757. And I look forward to working with any of you.
That's beautiful. Well, thanks again for coming on. And that Bragg Factor is going to help them really hit some success with the people, passion, purpose, and pain, and all the other great tips you gave us. So thanks a lot, Doc.
Thank you, Tom, for having me.
All right, everybody. We'll catch you all in the next episode. See you later.